So we're really excited to have you guys. Thank you for coming. I want a few housekeeping things. If you've never been to an event before or ever been outside in public, you should turn off the ringer on your phone. Just a tip. Our friends at Boombox are powering a Twitter feed all day. They power real-time social experiences. So if you tweet with the hashtag #GlimpseConf, which you'll see as many places as we could fit it, it will be fed into Boombox. You can post pictures via Instagram, TwitPic, or YFrog, and those will all be fed in as well. And if you have questions for the panelists, feel free to post them there, and I will collect them during the panels and actually bring them up midway through. If they can fit them in, they will. Otherwise, we're not going to be doing an audience Q&A, so that's the way to get your question out there. Again, thanks to everyone who's involved in making this happen. We have Wi-Fi set up. If you go to the Marriott Union Square Meetings Network, just like any hotel Wi-Fi, you log in, there's a bunch of stuff that you don't know what to do with, and there's a little thing in the upper left that says connect to the internet. Select the room Union Square Ballroom, and you enter your name. They are not actually tracking who you are, so we encourage funny pseudonyms. And then you don't need to enter a group, and just use the password discover, and you'll be all set. So thanks to everybody involved, our speakers, our sponsors, everybody on the team. We have an amazing team of people that made this happen. And thanks to all of you for coming. I'd like to introduce Casey Newton, our MC for the day. He is a reporter at the San Francisco Chronicle, and one hot number. Here he is.
Am I on? Am I on? I am. Hi. This is a good-looking group. How are you, everybody? Good morning to all of you, and thanks for coming to Glimpse Conference. I'm really excited to be here. I'm going to be honest with you. This is the first time I've ever hosted a tech conference, but I think it's going to go well. I'm a little sleep-deprived. I was up until 3 a.m. talking with Jessica Alba on airtime. But no, we had a good chat. We explored our interest graph, so that was pretty cool. The only awkward part was at the end when she showed me her penis, which, you know, come on. Keep it classy. That's for chat roulette. Anyway, I'm really excited about Glimpse Conference today, and my job right now is to set the stage a little bit for some of the things we're going to be hearing. Let's talk first about the breadth of this space. My guess is most of us in this room are already getting social recommendations on our smartphones, on our tablets, for all kinds of things in our life. I start every day getting my news socially through Twitter. Every day I get recommendations on RDO for what music to listen to, and I'm sure many of you are doing the same thing for recommendations on shopping. You may have other news sources that you're getting social recommendations on, social travel, social things to do. And this space has enormous gravity. We have some stats from Experian hit-wise. Facebook, obviously the big player in this space, 700 million monthly users. But it's interesting when you look at some of the other companies that we have here with us today, the traction they've gotten. StumbleUpon, 8 million monthly visitors. MeetMe, 37 million. Yelp, 43 million. Tagged, 70 million. And for all the talk about social network fatigue, a company like Pinterest can come along and seemingly out of nowhere get 100 million monthly visitors. Clearly there's a big appetite for these social networks. And not only are people joining these networks, but they're sticky. E-consultancy pulled some numbers for us that blew my mind. 1 in 4 minutes online now are spent on social networks. It's not just young people that are on social networks, the fastest growing demographic, people 55 and older. And while this category is growing, all others are in decline. It is true that social is eating the web. E-consultancy predicts that by the end of this year, social networking will overtake portals to be the biggest thing that people are doing online. Pretty amazing. So where's the business opportunity? In a word, mobile. 64% of people accessed a social network with their phone in the last month. Of those, 40% visited every single day. And these people love apps. There's a statistic that eConsultancy pulled that illustrates this really well. July 2011, less than a year ago, the average person was spending 87 minutes a month using a photo or video sharing app. Today, or rather in March, that same person was spending 231 minutes a month on photo and video sharing apps, which finally answered the question for me, why are there so many freaking photo and video sharing apps? One more stat that I think shows how much mobile is a factor here. Pandora in 2008, less than 1% of their traffic came from mobile. Today it's over 60%. The other thing that we know, too, is that social drives action. The Hollywood Reporter did a survey recently. 70% of people are discovering new music through social channels. More than a third of people said that they were taking social recommendations online for what next movie they should see. So clearly there's a lot of excitement in this space, and a lot of the companies we're going to be hearing from today are going to be doing or are doing really cool things. But I wanted to pose at least a few questions to get us thinking about what we don't know about the social discovery space and some of the unanswered questions here. Mark Johnson, who's sitting right here, had an interesting column up on VentureBeat yesterday, CEO of Zeit, about some of the limitations on social recommendations. He pointed out that if you might have one group of friends who gives you great music recommendations, another group of friends that gives you good restaurant recommendations, but they might not be good at doing the opposite thing. So if you're building an app, how do you cull the right set of recommendations and deliver them to your users? Another question, the creep factor. Do you guys remember SceneTap? Earlier this year, they installed facial detection cameras in San Francisco bars, so you could socially discover which one of your friends were out and about. But they also did things like calculate the ratio of men to women that were in bars. People freaked out. So I think one of the big questions that we have today is, how do you build an app that makes social recommendations that your users are comfortable with when what your users are comfortable with is a line that is constantly shifting? I think that's a big question in social discovery. How about the business model? If you're an advertising company, and many of you here today are advertising companies, how do you deliver a truly compelling social ad? Do you feel like in your life today you've seen a really compelling social ad? Are you clicking on social ads? I don't feel like I am. Even if you could build a really compelling social ad for the web, could you do it on mobile? GM certainly doesn't seem to think so. So I think that's a really big question for this space. Lastly, the business cycle. How much of this opportunity has already passed us by? This doesn't seem like a good time, for example, to be starting a photo sharing app. But where are the other business opportunities? We've got a great panel of investors today that should be able to give us some insight on where they see the blue ocean. So those are just a few of the questions that I have in the back of my mind that I'm hoping that some of our panelists will speak to. I'm sure you have questions of your own, and hopefully you will post them on Twitter so we can get them to our moderators. But with that, I think we're going to go ahead and get started.